had feathers. How would you discount this as transitional proof for evolution from reptiles to birds?
Okay. The question, did dinosaurs become birds? The Bible says God made the fowl on day 5, he made the reptiles on day 6. Evolution theory is exactly the opposite. Reptiles came first and then birds. This guy says dinosaurs are alive as birds. It's absurd. 1999, the USA Today published an article about the missing link was discovered. National Geographic, the missing link, breaking news, we found the proof for evolution. Had a big article about it in November 99. 2 months later, oops, it was a fraud. Some guy in China made this thing and sold it to the Americans for a lot of money. Proven wrong. We could go spend a long time on this one if you'd like, on this. Birds, the descendants of dinosaurs. All you got to do is add a few feathers and say, man, go ahead, it won't hurt too much. Give it a try, okay? There are millions of differences. Alan Fiducia is probably one of the world's experts on birds. He believes in evolution strongly, UNC Chapel Hill. He said, paleontologists tried to turn Archaeopteryx into an earthbound feathered dinosaur, but it's not. It's a bird. It's a perching bird. Archaeopteryx had claws on its wings, and they say that's a missing link. We don't have time to cover all this today, but there's an awful lot of evidence that the one you mentioned here, I think I have stuff on that one too. I have most of the things in here. Archaeopteryx, and none of these can be missing links, fully formed birds are found in rock layers dated by the evolutionists at 130 million years old. How could they evolve from dinosaurs? Dinosaurs lived and died, according to their theory, 65 million years ago. Here's 140 million year old birds found, much older than Archaeopteryx. Fossil remains of a bird 142 to 137 million years old, so it could not possibly be a descendant. This guy Fiducia says, GeoTimes 96 model, says there are plenty of other reasons to refute the dinosaur-bird connection, says Fiducia. How do you derive birds from a heavy earthbound bipedal reptile that has a deep body, a heavy balancing tail, and 4 shortened limbs? He said biophysically it's impossible. Lungs are totally different. Modern birds are found in layers lower than and with the dinosaurs. Scales and feathers attach differently to the body. They come from different genes on the chromosomes. Birds have a 4-chambered heart. Most reptiles have 3. Birds lay a calcium-covered egg. Reptiles lay generally a leather egg. There simply is no fossil evidence of how a reptile changed to a bird. Now, if you want to believe that, you just enjoy yourself, but that's a religion. Keep it out of our schools, please.
Question for Dr. Hovind. The 24-hour day is based on the Earth's orbit around the sun. So how can the first couple of days be 24 hours if the sun and the moon weren't created until the 4th day?
Good question. I think the Bible says that God is light, and it says he made light first, and our day starts at midnight when the sun's not even out. One spin of the Earth is a day on Earth in relation to anything. You could have a day, you could have the Earth spinning in relation to anything, you know. We started at midnight, like I said. So later in Exodus chapter 20, God told his people that I want you to honor the Sabbath because in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth. And same thing in Exodus 31. Here we have clear examples where God lumped all 6 days together as if they're the same. The sun wasn't there till day 3, or day 4, I understand, but there was light before that, and the earth apparently was spinning before that in relation to that light. That would be a real minor question or problem compared to the evolutionist problem that we all came from a rock 4.6 billion years ago, in my opinion.
I'll say 2 things. The answer to that question is too trivial to go into. It's a good question. We measure a day a certain way. Days didn't appear in that form till 4 days into this story. The story is a metaphor. It's not a, hey, they were really 24 hours and you can take it to the bank. If that kind of argumentation satisfies you that, oh, well, there was light and somehow the earth was spinning even before it was created to spin, fine. I don't have anything to say about it. I just want to go back one step. I do not believe that Mr. Hovind knows what a mutation is because he's now shifted his criterion. Now a mutation is something that suddenly in one jump takes you from this species to a brand new species. That's why he's got to have individuals with 2 mutations matching, because that's the only way Mr. Hovind can imagine 2 new species arriving. Just like everything has to happen in an instant in creation, just like the whole paleontological record has to be wrought in a few months of this horrendous flood he's describing, so his only image, his blinkered image of how you can get a new species from another species is a single event in a single generation. I mean, there are a whole bunch of biology courses which I'm happy to know your children will be taking that'll explain to them how that works.
Dr. Holden?
I think that was my response to him. Let's make this the last.
Question for Dr. Chivers.
Yes, sir.
Explain the evolution of a feather.
Explain the evolution of a feather.
From the scales of reptiles.
Well, I just happen to have spent several months working on this problem. How am I supposed to explain the evolution of a feather? Well, it is uncertain how feathers evolved or what their initial function was. It was initially believed they evolved for flight. It later seemed more logical, and there was, again, some fossil evidence that was consistent with it, that they may have evolved for thermoregulation and later achieved a role in flight. They're believed to have evolved from scales of a reptile, and I'm not a bird anatomist, and I've not spent my life concerning myself with every single detail of every single creature, including, in particular, the details as to how feathers evolved.
All right. This biology book says very clearly, bird feathers evolved from the same scales that protected the reptiles so well. Bird feathers are unbelievably complex. Feathers and scales are both made of the protein keratin, but that proves a common design engineer, not a common ancestor. Battleships and forks are both made from iron. It doesn't prove one evolved from a tin can. It proves iron is a good substance with which to make things, okay? And the designer used keratin to create all kinds of things. 1996, Journal of Evolutionary Biology, volume 9, page 140. Hang on. At the morphological level, feathers are traditionally considered homologous with reptilian scales. However, in development, morphogenesis, gene structure, protein shape and sequence, and filament formation and structure feathers are different. Clearly, feathers provide a unique and outstanding example of evolutionary novelty. Now, the guy still believes in evolution. We'll try to fix that. But he says they are unique. They did not evolve from scales. They're just too different. If somebody wants to believe they did, that's perfectly fine. And if you go back and listen to the tape, you'll see several times he said, well, we believe it might have happened or, could have happened or something like that. That's fine. I don't care what you believe. It's not science. It's a religion. Face it. Admit it. It's a religion. If you want to believe that, great. You teach that at your expense to your kids. Don't teach that at my expense to my kids. That's all. Thank you. His turn over here.
This will be our last question for Dr. Hovind. If creationists believe the universe was created 6,000 years ago, how do you explain the galaxies and stars, which are millions and billions of light years away?
I don't know that I can do that in the time allotted. I will certainly try. We cannot tell the distance to stars beyond a few light years. I'll show you the problems with that in a hurry here. I wish we had more time. I cover this in great detail on video number 7. Let me get up to, or if you watch, it's on my website too, a long answer to this. Stephen Hawking said, stars are so far away, all we see is a pinpoint of light. The biggest telescope, looking at the closest star, all you see is a dot. To measure the distance to something you cannot touch, you have to use trigonometry. You have to know 2 angles and a side or 2 sides and an angle. Earth is